Hello, and welcome to episode 57 of the Wine Educate podcast. This is a Thursday episode, so I'm going to be taking a question, and this is from Jonathan.
Hello, Joanne. This is Jonathan from New Jersey. I was wondering, why do people sometimes decant their wines? Thank you.
That is a good question, Jonathan. A really good question. And one I find that people are sometimes afraid to ask. One of those wine things that people think that we should just automatically assume that everyone knows something, like when to decant a wine, but that is not true at all. So let's go through it. All right, reasons for decanting. Why would you even decant, right? Decanting meaning you're pouring the wine into another container. Sometimes they're those gorgeous decanters, but pretty much most anything will do. And why are we doing this? There's a few possible reasons why it might be beneficial. Some wines need a little help opening up. They're really tannic, really tight. These are the younger wines. And with this exposure to oxygen, which happens when you pour the wine in the decanter and then it's sitting in the decanter itself, the oxygen helps to, quote, open the wine up. So we use some weird words when we describe wine. And I'm reminded of this when I do a podcast and talk about wines that are tight and they need to open up. And, that doesn't make a lot of sense in some ways. All right, if a wine is sort of tight and tightly wound, it means it's not expressing all of its potential. It's not releasing the aromas that we might expect from a wine of this caliber, and that it needs a little extra time, a little extra exposure to oxygen in order to achieve this. So that's what I'm referring to when I say things like that. Another reason you may want to decant your wine is because it has sediment in the bottom. Usually this happens at like parties, so my dinner parties, and there'll be all these wonderful bottles on the table, and maybe I'm a little late to the game and I see that 1990 Barolo and I get all excited and I pour some in my glass and there's not much left. And guess what? I got the last of it and I get a whole pile of sediment. Gross. You don't want the sediment. We don't drink it because it's a bunch of sludge. Very unpleasant. And if you drink it without knowing it, you just go, you make a very unpleasant noise. So we decant in order to pour the wine off of the sediment. So none of our dinner guests have that awful experience of getting a swamp of sludge in their glass, of being that last pour. Because then you've got to find yourself a new glass and it's just a mess. So removing the sediment. And then also something a little more techie, sciencey, but I'm going to mention it anyway. And that is to reduce reduction. With some natural wines, we do carry quite a few in the shop. When you first open them up, they can be a little funky. They can be a little sulfury or match sticky. Our poor children have grown up around all this. And so Jim will stick his nose in a glass of wine sometimes and make a face. And Olive will go, "What's wrong, Jim? Strawberry farts?" I mean, we call it strawberry farts in our household. It sounds so awful, but it's real and it goes away. It blows off. So do keep that in mind. That may be a reason, if not to do just the full-blown decant, just to maybe open the bottle up a little earlier. And that is an option too. You don't have to have an arsenal of decanters in your cupboard. You don't have to decant things all the time. Quite frankly, it's not super practical. I could do a whole other podcast on cleaning decanters, but maybe not yet. There's other fun topics to cover before something like that. So just opening the bottle and letting it sit out open for an hour or so can also have tremendous benefits of letting a little bit of oxygen in contact with the wine. I've got a really good example of just that. Jim and I will share a bottle of red in the evening, and we're enjoying it. We're drinking away. We're talking. Then we get to the very last glass of the wine, and we look at each other, and we say, it's finally starting to open up. It's finally really showing all of its potential. Oh, well, and we just already drank 3/4 of it. so give the wine some time, perhaps. All right, so what wines are we talking about? And this is similar with the special bottle question we had a few episodes ago. The majority of wines do not need to be decanted. Aromatic wines, no, they don't need to be decanted. They're great right out of the bottle. And I think if you decanted something that was super aromatic, some of the aromatics may actually dissipate. So you don't want that to happen. So big, young, bold reds are great candidates for decanting. That would be Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah/Shiraz, maybe Northern Rhone, Barolo, things that have probably spent quite a bit of time in the barrel and then in the bottle. And I really think of it as like a genie in the bottle, right? This wine has been stuck in the bottle for maybe decades, and you are now letting it out. So do so gently and give the wine time to come out, right? Genie in the bottle. Natural wines we spoke about, that they have sometimes a little bit of reduction. Maybe consider letting that old strawberry fart blow off a little bit. Not just red wines, some white wines certainly can benefit as well, particularly white burgundies. Oh, there's some tricky issues with some Primox in some white burgundies. Again, that's probably a whole other episode, but I would just play around with these a little bit. And certainly when you order these wines in a restaurant, talk to the sommelier about what he or she would recommend you do. They will have a lot of good advice for you and can help you with the decision-making process. There was a post on Instagram around the new year that got a lot of attention, and not like the good attention, like the, oh my gosh, look at what this person did, how ridiculous attention. And it was a Somm who had a rather nice bottle of vintage champagne. I think it was Cristal. Some of you who are listening to this might remember. And if you do, email me because I forgot what it was. But it was a nice bottle of vintage champagne, certainly had some years on it. And this individual decided to decant their champagne. And oh boy, the ridicule that this person received. Like, look at you decanting a champagne. That's ridiculous. I can't believe you did that. And all this stuff. The reason behind it is, when you decant something with bubbles, the bubbles will dissipate, right? And that is true. But I have to reiterate that a champagne, first and foremost, is still a wine. And if it is a really nice champagne, aka a nice wine, and has some age on it, yes, it may very well benefit from being put in a decanter for an hour or so to let some of those aromas open up even more, to let that genie out of the bottle. So I thought it was really kind of funny, because when I saw that post, I thought, I bet that's delicious. And I bet it did open it up even a little bit more by decanting it. So you do you. If you want to decant something, go for it. Just try it. And you can use lots of different things in the house. Please don't get one of those super fancy decanters. Some of them, I have no idea how they clean them. No idea. A friend of mine has a science beaker, and he uses that. And I think, oh, it's kind of cool, right? So you can use many different things and experiment for yourself. Open the bottle, try a little bit, think, okay, what's happening here? Maybe just leave it open for half an hour, come back, revisit, maybe do a full-on decant, right? And see how it goes. And I would leave you with this one little bit of caution when it comes to older wines, really older wines, and decanting. Just because a wine has age doesn't mean that it's going to benefit from decanting. Some wines are pretty delicate. These older wines, they're pretty fragile when you open them, and you may need to drink them quicker than you think, especially when you have an older wine. Open it up, taste it first. That's what the sommelier is doing when they decant. They're tasting it. They're making an assessment. First of all, is the wine faulty? Is it okay? Then, all right, how long may it need in the decanter? So on and so forth. and you taste it throughout the evening, and it can be a really wonderful and interesting experiment. All right, Jonathan, I hope that helped answer your question. I really appreciate you sending it in. And for those of you that also want to ask a question, the SpeakPipe link is in the newsletter. So you just need to go to wineeducate.com and click on the top newsletter sign up if you want to join the newsletter. All right, friends, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you next time.